it is really good vocabulary. So that's the significance of courteous. The next adjective, I'm going to try and make identify the more important vocabulary. So now we can see the list, and I will try to identify the most specific. Creative, no problem. Curious, adjective, the person's very, very curious, the person's very creative. Decisive is very good. So the person makes decisions. The person's very good to make a decision, typically for plans, for your friends, the party, the restaurant, the bar, and you say, I don't mind, it's okay, I'm not sure. The opposite is indecisive. If you're indecisive, you are not good at making decisions. You're very bad at making the decision, so you're very indecisive. And a lot of people are like this. A lot of people are very indecisive, but the opposite is very decisive, very clear, very sure what you want to do. You're very, very decisive, okay? The next verb is to dedicate. So you dedicate yourself to something, you dedicate yourself to somebody, and the adjective is very dedicated. So the verb to be, you are very dedicated to your job, very dedicated to your work, very dedicated to your friends, very dedicated to your hobby. So it's very typical, dedicated to, and the synonym here is devoted to. You are very devoted to something, okay? And the example here is a dedicated teacher, a dedicated worker, okay? Delight. Again, the importance here is the difference between the verb, the noun, and the adjective. And there's two adjectives, delighted and delightful. The ed, delighted, is your sensation. I am delighted. It's my sensation, my feeling. I'm very, very happy. I'm really happy. I am delighted. But if something away from you, like the food, is gorgeous, the food is tasty, you can say delightful. So the difference between delighted and delightful and the noun is a delight as well. If something is a delight, it's magnificent, it's fantastic, it's wonderful, it's a delight. Okay, that's important as well. And the example, your children are delightful, your children are magnificent, your children are wonderful, your children are great. Okay, they can come and stay with us if when they want. So they're very good children. They are delightful. The meal was delightful. The food was delightful. But you or me, I am delighted. I am delighted. I'm very, very happy. Okay. Dependable is the next one. The verb is to depend. You depend on the internet. You depend on the connection. You depend on the bus. You depend on your friend. But the adjective is dependable. If the person is very dependable, you can trust the person. You can rely on. This verb, to rely on, is very advanced, and a lot of people forget or don't know this verb, to rely on. It's the same significance to depend on. So you rely on the internet, you rely on your friend, you rely on your family. The significance is to depend on. Okay, so to rely on, and the adjective is reliable, and the other adjective is dependable. Okay, reliable, dependable, and good vocabulary. As I said, this verb is a bit more advanced, to rely on, and more fluent. We use this all the time, and it's a verb a lot of people don't learn when you learn English because it's different. Okay. The next adjective is determined. So if you're very determined, you are very persistent, you never give up, you never quit, you always try, and you are very focused. The pronunciation, very determined, you're very focused, okay, because you really want something. Diligent, this is maybe a little bit more advanced. You're very diligent. Again, it's like attentive. If you're very diligent, you're very correct. You're very efficient. You're very good with your work. You're very diligent. You're very organized. You're very good. So here's the example. You're such a diligent student that you're very organized. You're very meticulous. Meticulous is another possibility to be diligent. Very good vocabulary, a little more advanced and important, good, advanced vocabulary, a very diligent person. Diplomatic is very good as well. So a diplomat is the person, you are a diplomat, but the adjective is diplomatic. So you're very, I don't know, you're very good working with people, you're very careful, you're very attentive, you don't want to offend anybody, you're very careful what you say, so you're very diplomatic because you want the result, you want the objective, but you might not do it very directly. So you're very diplomatic, you're very careful, okay? And that's exactly the example. She is very diplomatic and she is careful not to offend anybody. Okay, so offend is the verb, offensive is the adjective, an offensive comment. And then another one is disciplined. So discipline is the noun. You have discipline, but the adjective, you are very disciplined. You're very organized. You're very good with the time. You do your work. You're very diligent. So diligent and disciplined are very, very similar. Okay, so the person's very disciplined or the person's very diligent. Okay, good. So we continue. If the person is very discreet, they are very quiet and they're very secretive, but not necessarily negative. It's more respect, maybe. If you're very discreet, you do something, but you do it very quiet and with no attention. Okay. And another word here you can see tactful, which is very advanced. If the person is very tactful, they're very careful, they are very and they're sensitive to. So it is a very, very important word. They're very discreet, very private, very secretive, almost secretive. There's a few contexts that we can use. And here's an example. The doctor is very discreet and will not let anyone else know health issue. So the doctor is very discreet. The doctor doesn't tell the information to other people, so you can trust or depend. That's the context. Okay. Dynamic. The person is very dynamic. They have, as they say, a lot of energy, a very motivated person, very dynamic. I think in other languages, Latin-based languages, Spanish, Italian, French, dynamic is probably similar in other Latin-based languages, but it means the person is very energetic, adaptable, flexible. The person's very dynamic. Maybe the exam was very dynamic. The job is very dynamic. You need a lot of energy to work in that job. Okay, so another good adjective is easy going. So the verb is to go, and basically you go very easy. You're very, very relaxed. You're very comfortable. You're easy going. In the United States, according to this website, there's no line or hyphen between the two words, but in the United Kingdom, according to this website, there's a line, a hyphen between easy and going. But personally, I would not worry too much about this. And the key is the adjective easygoing. The person is very easygoing. Yes, keep it in mind, the difference between the UK and the US, but Ireland, I think, is more flexible as well. So don't worry. But in an exam, you might have to be consistent. If you choose to use US spelling, the rule is you need to be consistent in the spelling, okay? But an easygoing person is a very calm person. No problems about the decision. The restaurant, the bar, I'm easygoing. I don't mind. The synonym, I don't mind, is better. The adjective, easygoing person. Okay. There is another possibility, laid back. If the person is very laid back, significance is the person is very calm, because the lay is with the body. Lay back, it means that you're no problems, no worries. Okay. Efficient, it's understandable again. I think in most languages, the person is very efficient. They're very productive. That's a synonym. Very efficient person, very organized, very diligent, very efficient. And the example is just very clear. She has always been an efficient worker, very productive, very effective, very efficient. Okay, energetic is very similar to dynamic. If you are very energetic, you are clearly full of energetic. It's different compared to dynamic. Dynamic is maybe more positive. Dynamic is maybe more concentrated, but energetic could be, you can waste your energy. Basically, you can have a lot of energy, but no productivity. Okay, but dynamic is a bit more positive. So there's a little difference between dynamic and energetic, but this is just a good example. The child is young and energetic. Enthusiastic, so just be careful with the TH. The person is very enthusiastic, and the significance is clear in most languages. It's similar to energetic, positive, happy, cheerful, motivated. Eager and keen, they are two adjectives as well. They're very motivated, they're very enthusiastic, they're very eager, they're very keen as well. Faithful is good as well. If you have faith, you trust. Faith in God, that's a typical context. You have faith in God, and the adjective is faithful. So you believe. Okay, so you're faithful. You constantly believe, even when there's difficult moments, even when there's problems. You believe. You continue to follow your belief. The adjective, the verb is to believe, and the noun is belief. So you have belief with the F, but the verb is to believe. Okay, that's the noun. The verb is to believe. So there's a little difference with the F and the VE. So this is the noun, and believe is the verb. Okay. And another synonym is loyal. So if you're a very loyal person, it's typical in relationships as well. If the person is very faithful in a relationship, they respect the person and they stay with this person. They have a commitment and they stay with that person. They're very faithful. They're very loyal to that person. Okay. And there's the example, the husband, he is a faithful husband. The next one is fearless. We had previous adjectives with fearless, and this is just directly, you are very brave, you are very courageous, you are fearless, you have no fear, you have no worries. And the example is a firefighter. A firefighter, the fireman, the firewoman, the man or the woman who stops, extinguishes the fire or fights. The fire is a firefighter because they fight. The fire has to be fearless when putting out a fire. Yesterday, the phrasal verb put out is specific for the fire. You put out the fire. Okay, extinguish the fire. Flexible, no problem. I think very adaptable, very dynamic, very flexible. So now we have 3 or 4 possible synonyms for adaptable, easygoing, flexible, and they're good. It's a good list of vocabulary that you need to remember in your exams or when you speak English. Focused, again, an adjective. You're very focused, you're very clear, you're very sure, and that's important clearly. There is a verb in English to forgive or to pardon when somebody makes an error or somebody does something bad. You need to forgive the person. You need to forgive them. And the adjective is forgiving. So you are very forgiving. The negative is typical in English. You are very unforgiving. So you never forgive. You're very unforgiving. That's typical as well. Very unforgiving person. And important. Friendly, no problem. The person's very friendly. The person's very nice. The person's very approachable. And that's good vocabulary. Here's the example. Your grandmother is so friendly. So friendly and so with the adjective intensifies. So I'm happy, but I'm so happy. Okay. Okay. I think that's good for today. That's just a few adjectives related to characters, related to people, related to personalities, good adjectives that we use for people. Okay, generous is another one. The person's very generous. They like to give time, give money, give things, give food to other people. A very generous person. Generosity is the noun, and that's difficult for pronunciation. Generous, adjective, and generosity is the noun. So you have a lot of generosity, and the adjective is you are very generous. Okay, and gentle is very similar to calm. Calm is maybe related to the noise. Everything, there's a lot of noise and it's calm, but gentle is more associated with the person. The person is very gentle. They're very sensitive. They're very soft. They're very, very gentle person. And that's typical as well. For example, contrast, the giant looks big and scary, but the giant is really, really gentle. And that's the famous expression, the gentle giant, because the appearance is very big, very strong, very aggressive, very rude. That's the appearance, that's the impression. But in reality, the giant is very, very gentle. And the significance is the giant is very soft, very kind, very sensitive. Okay. The next word is important for pronunciation, the adjective, genuine. So the person is very genuine, and the significance is very honest, very true, very sincere, very authentic. So the person is very genuine, and it's difficult for pronunciation, genuine. And the adverb is very typical as well, genuinely. I genuinely believe, I genuinely think, I genuinely like to go. And the significance is I sincerely like to listen. I sincerely like to do this. I genuinely like to do this. The adjective is genuine. So the person is very genuine. The person is very honest. The person is very sincere. And they are the synonyms that we use. Okay. Here, the example, he came across is a phrasal verb. So to come across is to have the impression. So you come across very well on the video. So you appear, you communicate very well on the video. Okay. Again, we have the difference between the United States and the United Kingdom. English in Ireland, I'm not sure. I don't think it's an issue, the two. I think you can have the two. The official language for Ireland, apart from Irish language, I'm not sure which is the official correct. But again, in an exam, you need to be conscious of the consistency. So if you decide to choose your spelling from the United States, you need to be consistent with your spelling according to the book, according to the rules of the exams. Okay. But hardworking is a very, very good adjective for a person. The person is very good, a very good worker. They're a hardworking person. They're a hardworking family, a hardworking team. Okay. A hardworking group. And here's a good example. She just received, obtained, got a pay rise The significance is an increase in your pay, an increase in your salary, a pay rise, because she is hard working. Okay. Helpful, honest, no problem, no problem. Humble. This is important. So arrogant is the opposite. The person's very arrogant, but the opposite is the person's very humble. They're very considerate. They're very down to earth. They're no ego. Very, very humble person. Very kind, attentive, considerate person, a humble person. Proud is the opposite. So pride is the noun. You have pride, but the adjective is proud, and that's good, important difference. Pride is the noun and the adjective is proud. Small difference in the pronunciation. And here's the example. Despite having, and normally after despite, you need the ing, despite having, despite knowing, despite meeting, despite going. An important position in the company, he is very humble. So maybe he's the owner, maybe she is the boss, but at the same time, they're very good with people, with in ordinary situations as well. Okay, imaginative, difficult for the pronunciation. Imagination is the noun, the verb is to imagine, and imaginative is the adjective. The person is very imaginative. They have the ability to imagine a lot. Okay, intelligent. Art one is difficult for pronunciation. Intuitive. If you are very intuitive, you are very, your instinct is very good. So if you're very intuitive, your instinct or your sense is strong. So you're very intuitive. And here's the synonym, instinctive. And it's just, it can be positive, and I think maybe it can be negative, but it's usually positive. You're very intuitive. So your decision is maybe based on the information, based on the knowledge, but also your instinct. Okay. Kind, no problem. Lively, lots of energy, enthusiastic. The city is very lively. The person is very lively. The bar is very lively, a lot of life, very energetic. Okay. Loving is very similar to affectionate. You remember previously we had affectionate person, and loving is a synonym. So it's good to have extra vocabulary in that situation. Loyal is a synonym for faithful. Friend, a loyal dog, a loyal family. Mature. Modest is very important as well, and you can see the synonym humble. So the person is very modest. Typical in situations for success. So you win a big competition, you are the star, you win the match, you win the game, you win the tournament, you win the prize, but you're very humble, so you're very modest. You speak about the other person, you speak about other things, you do not speak about your success or your ability. You're very modest. Okay. Motivated, no problem. The person has motivation, but you are motivated. So the difference between motivation and motivated, and the verb is to motivate. So you motivate other people. Nice, observant, important. The verb is to observe. You observe. And if you are very observant, you're very attentive. You can see the detail that other people maybe do not see. So you're very observant. You can notice and you can see the other things happening. Okay. Open-minded, very good as well. You welcome different people. You welcome different ideas. You consider different mentalities. You're very open-minded. Adjective. So it's necessary the verb to be. He is open-minded. She is open-minded. The opposite, adjective, is maybe closed-minded or narrow-minded. So you can say closed-minded or narrow-minded. So that is the opposite of open-minded. Okay, optimistic, no problem, very positive, very bright, but very positive, very enthusiastic. Optimistic, you think positive. Okay, passionate, no problem, you're very, very passionate. You love to do something, you like your hobby, you like your sport, you like your food, you're very passionate about your food. So you really care and you have a strong interest in something. You're very passionate about something. Patient, the pronunciation is important. You are very, very patient, and the significance has two. There are two significances. The adjective patient, the significance is you have the ability to wait. You're very calm, waiting. You have no problem to wait. You're very patient. That's the adjective. There is a noun, the patient, which is in the context of the hospital. So if you're in the hospital and there is a patient, it's the person who is receiving the help. This is the patient. This is the noun, but the adjective is patient, exactly the same pronunciation, but it's the adjective for the person who is very calm, waiting, no problem, waiting. The noun is patience. You have patience with the CE. Okay, so you have a lot of patience. This is the noun. Okay, so that is the difference between the adjective patient, the verb to be, you are patient, and the noun, you have patience. The adverb is possible also. You are patiently waiting. You are patiently waiting. That's possible as well. Very good vocabulary. Okay, peaceful, no problem. You are very calm, tranquil, very peaceful. Okay, perceptive is like observant. You're very perceptive. You're very smart. You're very intelligent. You're very clever. Observation, very observant. Okay, so here's the example. It was very perceptive of you to notice, to observe that I was having difficulty. So you had the ability to see, to recognize the problem. Very, very good adjective, very advanced. I think very perceptive. Persistent, you have the focus to continue, to try. It's a very hard situation, but you try constantly. You're very persistent. Good adjective. The noun is persistence, CE. So you have persistence, but you're very persistent. Adjective. So the difference between the noun and the adjective. Playful. Of course, the verb is to play. The dog likes to play. The children like to play. The adults like to play. Everybody likes to play. But the adjective for this moment, for this situation, is playful. So the dog is very playful. The dog likes to play with the other animals. The person likes to play with the other people. The children like to play with the other children, etc. The next one is polite. So the other adjective, maybe more advanced, is courteous. Remember, courteous is the person who is very polite, very respectful, good language, appropriate respect, appropriate language, very courteous person. And the other possibility is polite. The person is very, very polite. Okay. There's another one in English. You need to be careful because the translation for polite to other languages is a little bit of a fault. So to the books, to the university, to the school, you are educated. Adjective, the significance is university, school. But if you are polite, it's more your vocabulary, your words, your manner. So polite is related to your manner, and educated is related to university. I think it's a false friend when you translate to other languages. Positive, no problem, very positive person. Practical, good example. Practical is maybe realistic. So you maybe dream and imagine of a possible situation. You imagine the dream situation, but in reality, it's not possible to do this dream. So you accept the reality, you accept what you have. So you're very practical. Okay, very practical person, very practical situation as well. And here's a good example. Frank will fix the computer. Frank will repair, will fix the television. He's quite practical. He's very good at fixing things with the basic tools. So maybe he does not have the most important equipment, but he's very practical. He can make a solution from nothing. He's very, very practical. I like the next one. The person is very proactive, and the significance is the person makes things happen. So the person is very proactive. The opposite is maybe lazy, very do nothing. You do nothing, but the opposite is proactive. You make the situation appear. You make the situation happen. You're very proactive. Okay, prudent is very good as well. And the significance is here showing care or thought. So it's like attentive, it's like correct, it's like respectful. And here's the example. It would be prudent not to spend all of your savings. So it would be intelligent, it would be smart, it would be correct, it would be the sensible thing not to spend all your money. Punctual is related to time. If you're very punctual, you're very good with the time. You're never late. You're very on time all the time. So remember, in time is a little before, on time is punctual, and late is after the time as well. Rational, you're very fair. You're very rational. You think about your answer. You think about the correct way. You're very rational. You're not quick to make a bad decision. You're very rational. You're very balanced. Okay. Realistic, again, the opposite to, well, no, prudent and realistic are very similar. And the other word was practical. So practical and realistic are synonyms. If you're very realistic, you are very, very practical. Okay, so I want to do this, but in reality, it's maybe really difficult to do this. So you're more practical, you're more realistic. Relaxed is a synonym for calm. You're very calm today. You're very relaxed. You're very tranquil. Tranquil is more a translation issue, but in English, it's more typical calm. You're very calm. You're very relaxed. Reliable. Remember, dependable, and the verb to rely on. You depend on the situation. You depend on the internet. You depend on the bus. You depend on, you rely on. Adjective, dependable. Adjective, reliable. Okay. Resilient, very, very good adjective. You are very strong, even when you have a problem, you have a difficult problem, but it does not affect you too much. You're very resilient. You're very strong. You have the ability to survive the difficult moments. You are resilient. You can accept, you can take, you can tolerate a lot of difficult situations. You are very resilient. Okay. Resourceful, very good. So the resource is the noun, the thing you have. This is your resource. The computer, the light, the books, they are your resources. But if the person is very resourceful, they are very practical, they have the ability to use the things they have. So they have the basics, but they make a great thing from the basics. They are very resourceful. Respectful, the person who has respect. Again, the suffix ful is typical suffix for an adjective. And if you are respectful, you respect people, you respect the situations, and it's good vocabulary as well. Responsible, in your job, you are very responsible. The translation problem is the manager is the best word in English. You are the manager, you are the supervisor. I think in other languages, you are responsible. Yes, it's possible in English, you are responsible, but the adjective, but the noun is the manager or the supervisor. You are the manager in the shop. You are the supervisor. You are not the responsible. Not really. You are responsible, adjective, but you are not the responsible. No, we normally say the responsible person, maybe, but it's more in other languages. You say they're responsible. In English, we say the manager, the supervisor, or in charge, adjective. You are in charge as well. Romantic, very clear to understand. You're a very romantic person. I don't know. Yeah, you're a very romantic person. So that is the adjective, and the substantive or the noun is romance, but the person is very romantic. Okay. Very loving, very affectionate also is a synonym for these situations. Sensible. So the big problem is the difference between sensible and sensitive. Sensible is emotional, and because it's a false friend in other languages. In English, sensible is intelligent or a good decision. If you're very sensible, it's a good decision. But sensitive is emotional. Okay, so if you're very sensitive, you start to cry when you watch Dumbo or Shrek or Nemo, Finding Nemo. You're very emotional, so you're very sensitive, and you start to cry because you are sad. Okay, but sensible is decisions. You make a good decision. You make the correct, the appropriate, the prudent decision. You're very sensible. Okay, so that's a massive difference, and most people have a problem with the two words. So you need to be very careful. Sensitive is emotional, and sensible is your decisions. Okay, more or less. Sincere, just the pronunciation. The person is very sincere. The person is very sociable. So the person likes to meet other people. The person likes to have a conversation with other people. The person is very sociable. Okay, good. This adjective is very, very good. Straight, straightforward. Okay, so straight is the line. The line is very straight. My jacket is very straight. My nose is maybe straight. And forward is the direction. But this adjective is perfect for the person who is very clear, the person who is very honest and direct. The person is very straightforward. They're very simple with life. You know the opinion of the person because they're very straightforward. And the perfect synonym is uncomplicated. They are not complicated. It's the opposite. They're very simple. They're very clear. They're very straightforward. Perfect adjectives, very good adjectives. A straightforward answer. So you ask me a question and I go, but no, I give you a straightforward answer, yes or no. Okay. Supportive. So the person is supportive. They support the other person. So just the difference, the verb to support and the adjective supportive. Okay. Thoughtful. You're considerate. You're empathetic. You're sympathetic. You're very thoughtful of other people. Tolerant is the adjective. The verb is to tolerate. So you tolerate the verb, but the adjective is tolerant. Very, very good. Most people understand tolerate, the verb, but not a lot of people use tolerant from my experience when you speak English. So the adjective is tolerant. Trusting is loyal, dependable. Trustworthy is almost the same, okay? Very good vocabulary because, again, most people don't use this word when you learn English, but in reality, every day, a lot of people, native conversations, native speakers use this word, trustworthy, and it means that they have the worth or the value to trust them. So I recommend you trust them because they are very trustworthy. Okay, so it is a little bit different between trusting and trustworthy. Unassuming, very, very good vocabulary, a little more advanced compared to humble and modest. If the person is very humble and modest and down to earth, the opposite is arrogant. Okay, so the person's very arrogant, but no, the person's very unassuming. So maybe they are a very important person in a company, in sports, but you do not realize because they're very ordinary, very normal. Understanding, the verb to understand, again, is very typical, but a lot of people don't use the adjective understanding, but so it's very, very good. You're very understanding. You have the ability to understand the problem. You have the ability to understand the situation. You are very understanding, and thank you because you're very understanding. Versatile is important, and it's like adaptable. If you are very versatile, you have the ability to do a lot of different jobs. You have the ability to do a lot of different things. You are very versatile. You're very adaptable. You're very flexible. Really good vocabulary. And we have synonyms for versatile. Okay, so really good. And here's the best example. He is a versatile actor who can play a variety of roles. The final word is witty. And this is very, very important, very advanced, because wit is the noun, and it's like humor, or instinct. So if you have, it's difficult expression, you have your wits about you. The significance is you are conscious, you are aware, you are very bright, you're very aware, you're very conscientious, you have your wits about you. So the adjective witty, usually the significance is very, very funny, or very smart, or very clever. Okay, a witty person, the significance is maybe a very clever, a very funny person. It's a very witty person. Okay, a good joke, likes to laugh, very witty person. So that's very, very important vocabulary. Here's the example. She is so witty, she can think of a funny remark or a funny comment about anything I say. Great, that's a lot of vocabulary specifically for people. Today is vocabulary related to characters, to different personalities. We have a long list, very intermediate and very advanced. In between, there's some very advanced vocabulary. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you can follow. You can watch the video again on Facebook. I think at the beginning we had a lot of difficulties with YouTube, but now the last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I think no problem with the connection. So maybe I post the second video. Okay. Great. We have classes available. So if you want to join a class, you can contact. If you're interested to join a class, we have different classes available for different topics. Here is the list. For example, we have the Cambridge exams. So we have class specifically for the Cambridge exams, the first certificate, the advanced certificate, the IELTS, Escuela Oficial de Idioma, Trinity, Aptus, TOEFL classes, preparation, conversation classes, business English classes, general classes, or CV and interview preparation. So we have lots of possibilities. You can see the information here, the prices. Generally, a small class of 3 is best, and that's the focus at the moment. And we have very good teachers available at the moment as well. And the times are possible in the morning, in the evening, even at the weekend as well. So we have different possibilities for the time. Social media is here: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can see all the channels here: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. And you are welcome to connect on all the channels if you want. There's the information on the screen. And finally, everything is free. But if you want to make a small support or a small donation to help, or if you can and you want to say thank you to help, you can see the information here. There's a Bizum application, which is popular in Spain. There's a Revolut application. There's with a number. And there's the bank transfer if you want to support me and help. It's a good help from me, and thank you so much. So have a good day. Thank you so much for watching, and leave your comment with your opinion if you want, and hopefully talk to you soon. So thank you on YouTube and thank you on Instagram, and have a good